Pope Francis is hitting the ground running. 3 states and 18 stops, all in 6 days. His agenda is packed and non-stop, starting from the moment he set foot on U.S. soil, for the first time yesterday afternoon. And most of all, he wants to voice his message of change. But what do students think about how his message lines up with their own religious beliefs? Maggie Ruley finds out.
Rock star.
I feel like people call him a rock star because they want to get to know him.
Person of the year.
The one word I described him was extraordinary.
A spiritual superhero.
He is a holy man of God. He's really a servant.
And the first pope from South America, where the majority of Catholics live. And with every tweet,
I want to say that I am a follower of Pope Francis on Twitter.
And every selfie, Pope Francis is giving a fresh face to a centuries-old religion.
Even for us teens, it's kind of like a role model.
The students here at Queen of Peace, a Catholic high school in New Jersey, are not alone. 2/3 of Catholics view the Pope favorably, and 8 out of 10 think he's taking the church in a positive direction.
He's different from other popes. He's very humble. He wants to take the subway. He doesn't have to take the Pope Mobile.
Usually you don't see celebrities going out, buying pizza, getting your glasses, getting your orthopedic shoes.
That's a big change from other recent popes, but Pope Francis is not afraid to shake things up. And even though he hasn't changed a single line of doctrine, he has changed the image of the Catholic Church. So all these changes that are happening, how does it make you feel about the Catholic Church?
Honestly, I feel like it is a very good thing for the Catholic Church because when we open up our minds and other people see that, other people are going to come into the church and maybe more people will join the Catholic faith.
As Pope, Francis is head of the Catholic Church with more than 1 billion followers. And he's also the leader of the independent country, Vatican City, making him both a religious and political leader with one busy schedule. And in less than 3 years, he's made headline after headline, praying next to Muslims and Jews, negotiating with world leaders, helping to broker a new relationship between the U.S. and Cuba, and speaking out in support of the recent Iran nuclear deal.
Even if he isn't the leader of your religion, or even if you don't have a religion, he still has a huge effect on global relations and politics because he's the leader of 1 billion followers.
When the Pope talks, the world listens. So when he addressed climate change recently, it was a big deal. In a nearly 200-page document, Pope Francis supported scientists who say global warming is man-made, tweeting, "The Earth, our home, is beginning to look more and more like an immense pile of filth."
Now, not only can people take it from the scientists, now they can take it from the religious leaders. It's really opening up more avenues for change.
Change that Pope Francis hopes will also make the world think differently about poverty, one of his main issues since becoming the Catholic leader more than 2 years ago.
He said he wanted the church to be a church for the poor, made by the poor.
He reinforces the teaching of the Catholic Church that anything that we buy, any materials, it's not really going to fulfill our happiness.
Using his words to change hearts and minds, even on topics that remain very controversial among young Catholics. Pope Francis is quoted as saying, "If someone is gay and he searches for the Lord and has goodwill, who am I to judge?" Do you remember when he said that?
It was a very surprising thing because the world is still very homophobic, and in the church it's still a problem that it doesn't even matter if you're gay, transgender, anything. It's very striking coming from the Pope to say, "Who am I to judge?"
With every headline-grabbing tweet and quote, many say the Pope is slowly bringing the Catholic Church into modern times, and with it, maybe bringing people back to the Catholic faith. 3 generations ago, nearly a quarter of young Americans identified as Catholic. Today, that number has dropped to 16%. What would you guys say are the biggest issues that most young people take with some of the teachings of the Catholic Church?
Honestly, I think gay marriage is probably the biggest right now because our generation is very concerned with everybody having equal rights.
How are you as a young Catholic different from your parents or even your grandparents as older Catholics?
This generation just was taught to have a more open mind and ask more questions.
He's connecting with young people and he's making the young people see that the church isn't just about cornering people off because of their beliefs. The church is about bringing people to God, and he's trying really to clarify that.
Some critics say the Francis effect has gone too far. This fall, more than a dozen cardinals and bishops from around the world will publish books defending church doctrine.
They worry that perhaps he is devaluing marriage, perhaps he doesn't recognize that homosexuality is a sin. Francis hasn't changed anything doctrinally, but just the shift in tone has given some conservatives cause for alarm.
Do you think there's a threat there that the language of Pope Francis could actually weaken the traditional values of the Catholic Church?
They were raised to believe in all of the teachings of the Catholic Church, and they were raised in a very traditional manner, but us, being children of this new century, we really have a different outlook on things.
Reaching young Catholics and flipping an old religion upside down by just speaking his mind.
I've been alive for 3 popes, Pope John Paul II, Benedict XVI, and Pope Francis, and in my opinion, Pope Francis has reached out to me the most. It's made an impact in my life, and I hope he's made an impact on other young Catholic lives as well.
Maggie Rulli, Channel 1 News.
And to check out a list of 12 fun facts about Pope Francis that we bet you didn't know, head to channel1.com. All right, guys, coming up, we get to hear from you.